Hey, what up everyone? Ben from Millionaire Mafia here. I just wanted to make a short video on my personal strategy to entering trades. So some of this will be a little bit of a recap, but just so you can know like how my mind thinks and the process that I take when I'm getting into coins. So logging into the exchange, and I use Bittrex to do a lot of my demonstrations in here. As you've noticed, I have a Poloniex account, I have a Bittrex account, but as I've talked about earlier, I keep a lot of my long-term and intermediate plays inside Poloniex, which is also where I have a lot of Bitcoin, and I don't like to show those significant amounts. So I do a lot of my day trades or swing trades, week to week or sometimes month to month inside Bittrex, but I want to show you guys how I think when I'm getting into a trade. All right, so I go in, I look on the home page, and I look at the volume of a lot of these different coins. Now, this is assuming that I've already done research about any particular coin I'm about to enter. I already know about the coin. I know what it is. So I've already done my research on the particular coin. All right, then I'm going to hop in here and I'm going to look at volume. A lot of these coins, for example, today as I'm making this video, like Ripple, it only has 1,150 Bitcoin worth of volume today, which a few weeks ago, that was like 10, 15,000. So it can be a relative amount when you're talking about the volume. Right now, things are down. All right, right now, volume is down a little bit in the cryptocurrency industry as I'm making this. So I'm not too scared about that. I'm not even scared about some of the coins that are on this second page, or perhaps even some of these coins that are on this third page, like Zcoin, like VTC, Vertcoin. I'm not really scared that the volume is like very far down right now. It doesn't really bother me. So anyways, I'm gonna hop in here. I'm gonna look at coins kind of where they're at, look at the change and everything. And what you want to understand is that this change here that you see, this is based on a 24-hour period. So this is the percentage of change over the day. So it's going to renew at midnight every single day. That's why oftentimes if you log in at midnight, you'll see like coins are up, because if they go up any minute amount from literally 35 seconds ago, it's going to show a positive change. So you got to take it with a grain of salt and understand that these are 24-hour percentages. So let's just look at XVG, for example, Verge. It's down 7.4% today. It had a 24-hour low, 629. A high of 718. Its last price is 650. Well, I'm just gonna go in here, and if I was like, okay, well, I want to make some sort of profit today. Like things are down, I want to make some trades today, I want to get some profit. This is what I would do. And me personally, I prefer to do swing trades and long term. You could really get addicted. You could spend like every ounce of every day in here just doing day trades. And I don't really like to do that because I have a life and I have other things to do. And so, me personally, I spend like 20 minutes a day on stuff, analyzing markets or placing trades, placing buys, sells, coin research, things like that. So, I would first of all zoom way out on my 30-minute calendar here, and I would see that today, going into today, let's see, we had a low of 587, 586, 585, somewhere in there. And then we had a high of right around here at 730. So 580, 730. That's a pretty significant gain right there. I mean, that's nice. That's like a 20-25% gain. That would have been great. $1,000 is $1,250 at the end of that. So what I'm going to identify here, start using a couple tools. I'm going to take a segment. I'm going to look at my markets here. So in the last 36, 48 hours, we have an area of resistance right in here, right? Got an area of resistance right in here. And I'm just going to start playing around. And then I'm going to look at, it looks like we kind of had a battle over here for a few hours, kind of in this area right here, okay? And then we've kind of come down, and now we're about right here. Well, when I would look to make a short-term trade, I would look at these notable areas. I'd go, we have resistance in here, we have resistance in here, we had a downward trend right here, and we had somewhat of a breakout kind of right in here. So those are kind of my 4 points that I'm looking at. We had a really, coming down pretty low. Maybe I can zoom out a little bit more and show this. Came down, really tanked down here, dropped down about 504, and it just couldn't sustain going lower. It popped up. So I'm just going to label these areas with the intent to go, okay, what can I do today or in the short term to make some profits on this coin? What can I do? So I've identified all these areas. I'll even do this. We got a very significant breakout right there. Those are my areas. we've got resistance right in here, we've got resistance up here, and then we're kind of returning back down to this former area. What I would start drawing conclusions on at this point is, okay, well, if right now it's getting back down to this former area of resistance, I'm going to say that this is probably a zone where it might bounce back up. Now, I'm not going to rely on that hypothesis off of one indicator alone or one suggestion I'm making. I'm going to look at a couple other things. So I'm going to slide over a little bit more. Yep, it was up higher than that just a couple days ago. So I see resistance here, I see resistance here, and I see it starting to return to its former level of resistance. That's going to lead me to think an entrance point somewhere around this 600 level might be good, because if it's going to test and go up to 700 again, well, I'm going to have a 15-18% gain there. You know, so I would be happy with that to make just kind of a quick little profit in the next few hours or couple hours. All right, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. And I just use segment tools just to be able to do that. I'm going to go back to none. Now, next thing I might do is bring up my RSI, for example. Scroll down, create that. Let's see where our RSI is at. Our RSI is kind of in the middle. It's a little bit towards the lower side. It's not really doing anything for me. Don't really care about that. I see it hit like a high point right in here, which would have been right about here. And then it kind of sustained itself in there and then went up for a second, and it's kind of tapered down a little bit. Not really telling me yes or no either way, going up or going down. But it's kind of in a safe zone, all right? RSI isn't an indicator telling me that it's going to do opposite of what I think. You know, here I've drawn a conclusion that I think it might bounce off somewhere around this line because it'll repeat history, it'll test its former area of resistance, it'll try to bounce back up. This right here is neither supporting that or denying that, all right? Bring up something else. Let's go into our Bollinger Bands. And we'll just create this real quick. And what I'm doing right here, guys, this can all be done within 5 minutes. All right, cool. I like this. I like this because it shows me that it bounced through, and then it kind of tried to bounce up again, went to the bottom, bounced through, kind of came down towards the middle, hit the bottom, bounced up, and it's been riding the bottom more or less for a while now. And if it's to bounce through that top Bollinger Band, it's going to push 682, 700. So then I'm starting to like what I see. I'm going, okay, well, we're approaching that previous area of resistance. We're on the bottom of the Bollinger Band. That's great. All right. So there's a couple indicators that are suggesting to me we might have some short-term profits to make a little scalping trade up around the 680, 700 or beyond level. And even entering in right here, we'd make some good profits. So I start looking at that. Now, something else that I might bring out is I will look at my fib tool, right? So I'll take my Fibonacci and I'll basically use my last low, which I could put right in here, and then my last high, which I could put right in here. And I can see that we are at a 61.8 level right in here. We're at a 61.8 level. That is a fib level. Well, once again, 50% is not a fib level. That's just something they put in there. Then I see 38.2. So we're finding resistance around that fib level. So this might be a tool that I use to, once again, start to develop hypothesis on what's happening or what could happen. Now, I'm going to take that and I'm actually going to throw this fib tool out for a second. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to look at something else. Order book. Let's look at the order book. So here's our asks right down in here. We're currently at 649, 650. Okay, that's great. We're seeing, 258,000 order, a 381, a 275, and so on. Let's start zooming back here. Orders aren't very high there. They're pretty low actually. We're starting to get a little higher, right around that 674, 675. Got a couple, okay orders in here. I'm looking for something big. I'm looking for something that would cause me to go, whoa, there's a lot of people selling at that point. And so far, I don't see anything significant. 264, okay. What about around the 700 level? 670, okay, that's the most significant one. And then we've got a 228 at 702. We've got 161. We've got a 411. It looks like between that 700 level and 7-11 in there. We're seeing some people that want to do mass sells. Look at this. 796, 328, 453, 238. It looks like in that 700 to 720 level. Oh, and especially climbing up. Look at these now. 691. I mean, these are bigger levels. 460. These are people that are selling mass amounts. Oh, and then look at this. We have one order that's 1.7 million. So as we can start to see, it looks like there's a lot of people betting on the coin reaching this point. A lot of times what that can actually be is historical traders selling at fib levels. And in case we notice, look where they're trying to sell at. They're betting on the market reaching this previous area of support and resistance right in here, these previous tested areas. This is a 700 level in here. This right here is going to be around the 720, 730. This is 730 right in here. So we're seeing people trying to get sells between that 700 and that 730 level again. So what they're doing is they're saying, hey, it's been tested there before. If we put a fib tool up there, we'd probably see that that's a fib level, and that's why it failed there, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So I started off, I put some tools out on the chart, just some segments to identify my areas. I found my resistance here, I found my resistance here, and I found that it appears that Verge is approaching this former area of resistance again. And not only is it approaching its former area of resistance again, but it's also starting to ride the bottom of that Bollinger Band. So there's a chance that it might break through that former area of resistance and come down to test that, that level right in here at the 620, 630 mark, and then bounce back up towards that 700 level. Well, me being smart and trying to outsmart those senior traders, I'm going, okay, well, I've identified my areas of resistance. I see that it's approaching its former area of resistance. I see it's riding the bottom of the Bollinger Band, so those two indicators right there. And then I see an order book showing me that a whole bunch of people want to sell mass amounts. Look at that, 1.7 million. A whole bunch of people want to sell right around the previous level that Verge tested just hours ago. So they're looking to short the market and make some profits right there. Well, I'd like to short them. I'd like to go, okay, well, there's probably going to be a massive sell wall right around that 738 mark because there's 102 Bitcoin worth of volume that it has to bite through. 102 Bitcoin worth that it has to bite through to get there. Like, that's a decent chunk. Like, that's a decent chunk. So if I put my sell on the other side of that, it's going to have to bite through. The market's going to have to get enough support to buy through all 1.7 million of those coins. So I like to identify those hot areas where, look at 700, that's a decent order right there. 460, that's a decent order. So I'm going to find these areas like maybe the 728 or maybe even a little bit lower. Maybe down here, the 717 where it's lower in there. Or maybe I'll even try to slip in right around that 703 or that 700, maybe that 698 level, somewhere in there, where there's a little bit less competition. And, what's it matter? What's it matter when you're going to make a profit at 10 cents a coin and you decide, heck, I have a better chance of actually filling my sell order if I take 9.8 cents per coin. At the end of the day, so what? Instead of losing a profit of $100, you make a profit of a couple thousand instead of going, well, I'm too proud and I want to make a $2,000 profit that is likely that it won't fill instead of making a $1,900 profit and increasing my chances of it actually filling. So that's what I do. That's my mindset behind when I am trying to create a trade. And right now, as I'm making this, we're in a massive recession with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin. When I'm making this video, we have China controlling a lot of trades because we're coming up to Chinese New Year right now, and we've seen this historically happen for the last few years. So we have that happening. There was actually a hack that took place on a South Korean exchange due to a lack of security, and there was a 500 million steal Bitcoin hack, $500 million worth stolen, and it put a dent in the cryptocurrency industry, people got scared. China's not trading too much right now. Chinese New Year. This happens. So we can't contribute all of what's happening right now to those two reasons, but a significant majority. So right now it's in a recession, but even in a recession, as you can see, you can find profits. And once again, with all the indicators that I've taught in this training, if you're using these indicators, if you're entering situations and trades like this, you will win. I mean, look at this. This would have been plain as day. It's going down, it's going down, it's going down. It's testing a very unfamiliar low. There's no areas of previous history showing this right here. In any of the markets in the last few days or even couple weeks, there's nothing saying that Verge should be going down here. It's uncharted territory, right? There's no previous indicators or hints or areas of resistance down at this level. I mean, it went down here and it was like, fuck this. Like, no, we're not staying down here. Like we have no track record of being down here. The market got bought down and then buyers are like, heck, this is a great price. Boom, shot up. Well, knowing that, I mean, look at that. Down around the 510, 520 level and coming up and testing that 650 level. Great little return right there. So that's how I think, guys. I'll see you in the next video.